Do you remember how normal life felt before COVID? And I don't mean in some dramatic way. I mean how nobody really thought twice about everyday things. Going to work, traveling, crowded places, offices, schools. Everything just felt normal. And then within a few months, the entire world changed. People started working remotely, businesses were shutting down, schools moved online, cities became quiet, gas prices dropped, and suddenly everyone became aware of how quickly life can shift. And honestly, I think COVID permanently changed the way people look at the world. Because ever since then, anytime people hear about another outbreak, another virus, another international health concern, there's this immediate feeling of anxiety. And recently, that conversation has started happening again because of the hantavirus outbreak making headlines. Now, first of all, this is not another COVID level situation right now. That's important to make clear. Even the World Health Organization has said the current public risk remains low. But at the same time, the situation is still getting a lot of attention globally, especially because of how unusual this outbreak has been. So what exactly is happening? The recent outbreak is linked to a cruise ship called the MV Hondius. The ship had passengers from multiple countries on board, and several people became seriously ill during the journey. As of now, multiple confirmed cases have been reported, along with several deaths connected to the outbreak, and the virus involved is believed to be the Andes strain of hantavirus. Now, this is where things become more concerning to health officials, because most hantaviruses primarily spread through contact with infected rodents, usually through urine, droppings, or saliva. But the Andes strain is different. It's one of the only known hantaviruses capable of limited person-to-person transmission, and that's why governments and health organizations reacted quickly. Countries began tracing passengers, people were quarantined, flights were monitored, very similar to the situation that we had with COVID-19 a couple of years back. Passengers were isolated after arriving home. Some passengers were even transported to specialized medical isolation units in the United States and Europe. And honestly, that entire response instantly reminded people of COVID. Not because the viruses are the same, but because the images and reactions feel familiar. Quarantine, international coordination, contact tracing, emergency briefings. It brings back memories of a time the world hasn't fully mentally recovered from. And I think that's why stories like this spread so quickly online now, because people remember what happened last time. Back in early 2020, most people didn't realize how much life was about to change. At first, COVID felt distant, temporary, like something that would pass quickly, and then suddenly, remote work exploded. Zoom meetings became normal. People stopped commuting daily. Entire industries shifted online. And honestly, some of those changes never fully went away. Even today, a lot of companies will still allow hybrid or remote work. People move cities because they no longer needed offices. The way people socialize changed. The way people shop changed. Even the internet changed. COVID accelerated digital life massively. Content creation grew, streaming grew, remote collaboration grew, and in a weird way, it reshaped how people think about work entirely. Before COVID, working from home felt rare. Now it feels normal for millions of people. And I think that experience changed how society reacts to outbreaks forever. Because now, people know how quickly things can escalate, even if the actual risk remains low. Personally speaking, I've had my job for a couple of years now, and it's been completely remote. The projects that I get assigned are all remote. The people that I work with are remote. There have been instances with my manager and my team leads and some people that I know, depending on their project, they actually have to physically go in or at least have hybrid work. So life really hasn't changed much for me personally, but I know a lot of people that really enjoyed remote work. They were able to do house chores, they were able to do spend time with their families, like they were able to be themselves without having to sit in traffic for hours on end every single day. That fear still exists in people's minds, and honestly, social media makes that feeling even stronger now. Information spreading instantly, news spreads instantly, fear spreads instantly. One headline can suddenly make people think another global shutdown is coming. But realistically, health organizations are saying the situation is very different from COVID. The transmission rate appears much lower, the outbreak is still relatively limited, and authorities moved quickly to isolate and monitor passengers. Still, though, I think events like this remind people of something important. The world is more connected than ever before. Travel is global, communication is instant. One event in one part of the world can suddenly become international news within hours. And honestly, that interconnected world has both positives and negatives. On one hand, scientists and governments can coordinate faster than before. Health agencies can share information globally. Responses can happen quickly. But on the other hand, fear also spreads globally now, and sometimes people end up overwhelmed by constant bad news, especially after what happened during the pandemic years. And honestly, I think one of the biggest lasting effects of COVID was psychological. People became more uncertain about the future, more anxious about stability, more aware of how quickly life can change. And maybe that's why stories like this hit harder now, because they remind people how fragile normal life can feel sometimes. But at the same time, I also think society learned a lot from COVID. Healthcare systems respond faster now, governments coordinate faster, people are more informed about outbreaks generally, and hopefully that means future situations can be handled better too. Because whether it's AI, technology, economic changes, or global healthcare scares, one thing feels very clear lately. The world changes fast now, faster than most people are emotionally prepared for sometimes. And honestly, maybe the best thing people can do is stay informed without becoming consumed by fear, because fear spreads quickly online too. And while it's important to pay attention to global events, it's also important not to let constant anxiety control your life. Right now, health officials continue to monitor the outbreak. Passengers are still being tracked and isolated, and investigations into the source and spread are ongoing. But for most people, life continues normally, and hopefully, it stays that way. That was our conversation topic for today. Stay tuned for more. If you enjoyed, like the video and subscribe. We'll chat again soon. Peace.